Hey everyone, I'm Frank. Thanks for stopping by. I'm glad to see you all here. Today I want to talk about your favorite personality type and mine, the INFJ. I was thinking how often INFJs are portrayed as like these great people who are like real empathetic and deep and stuff, but the truth is we can be pretty cold sometimes. Maybe we don't mean to be, but it comes across that way. So I just wanted to talk about where that comes from and why sometimes people might say to us, hey man, you're being really cold. You're being a cold heart B word. First, let me get this candle ready to be lit. We're going to be smelling today a red apple wreath, if I could read correctly. I put it right next to the crazy pills. They're not crazy pills, they're just Advil. So, shall we get started? So as an INFJ, you have the ability to absorb other people's emotions. And it's not, I say ability like it's something you can choose to do. You can't choose to do it. It just happens. You absorb other people's emotions. It's not through some kind of thought process, right? An INFP, you might think, oh, we're similar because it's just one letter off. They're also very good at knowing what someone else is feeling, but it's through a more intellectual process of being able to put themselves in another person's shoes and then figure out, oh, that's why this person feels this way, because I would feel that way if I went through what they were going through. It's different with INFJs. We just feel it. It has to do with being near someone. It's like if you're in a close proximity to someone, you will feel their emotions, and there's nothing you can do about it. There ain't nothing you can do about it, as Diana Ross said in that song. So we're an emotional sponge. And sometimes it can feel like we are on the receiving end of the world's emotions. We're just like the dumping ground for everyone else's emotions. When someone senses that you get them, that you understand how they're feeling, they connect with you. People will just keep doing that, keep unloading on you when they sense this connection. And as an INFJ, we don't like to say no to people. We don't like to hurt people's feelings, And so when we start to get people dumping on us, we just let them. We just listen. That's what we're good at. We're good at listening. And people can tell that. People are like, man, this person is really listening to me. I feel listened to. And they never stop. They just keep giving and giving and giving, and you have to keep absorbing all this emotion. And let's be honest, when people really need to connect with someone and unload on them, it's usually bad emotions. So we get overwhelmed with other people's negative emotions. Now, it can be good emotions too, but usually it doesn't happen very often unless you're dealing with like an enlightened kind of person where they corner you for an hour and talk about everything that they're very happy about and very thankful about. It doesn't really happen. Usually they're talking about, oh, my life sucks, this is why. And we just sit there and take it. Now, there is a part of this where after you keep receiving and all that, listening to people, it's easy to feel resentful. In your mind, you're like, I'm giving of myself all the time. I can't help it. I just have to give myself to people in this way where I'm feeling their emotions and empathizing with them, and they give nothing back. And that is very difficult. It's one of the hardest parts about having this personality type because it often makes us feel like the world is all take and no give. So then what happens? Now here's one thing about INFJs. You may have heard it referred to as the door slam, but it doesn't necessarily have to be extreme, like shutting people out of your life forever. It doesn't have to be that extreme. The door slam can manifest itself simply in you slamming the door to your room and saying, I need to be alone for a long time because I've given of myself so much that I need to recharge. And that's the thing about introverts. All introverts need to recharge from social interaction, but I think INFJs tend to let their battery go extremely low, critical battery level low, until you're totally burnt out. And I think other introverts maybe don't go that far, or they don't have as much endurance. Our batteries are big and we let them go down to extremely low levels. And so it takes a long time to get recharged. If you follow that metaphor, that analogy that I'm putting forward there. The problem is that we can't just shut the door and take a lie down on the bed for a week or two at a time. We have to go out into the world. We have to see all these people. We have to function as human beings. And so we end up shutting the door psychologically to people. Because we can't help but feel other people's emotions, we have to kind of withdraw and become cold in other people's eyes in order to just protect ourselves and recuperate. You know, we can't keep going at the same rate all the time. And so that is why it is easy for other people to say, man, you were listening to me last week. I was telling you all about my IBS and how it affected my dating life, and you were just right there listening to me the whole time, and now you won't even say hello to me, or now you say, oh, hi, how's it going, and then you're not giving me the time of day anymore, man. You're cold. I thought you were different, man. But the truth is that maybe in a couple weeks we can go back to being the emotional sponge, allowing ourselves to do that. But for the time being, we need to recover, and it's not easy. We're drained entirely. Now, as you develop as a person, this is something that needs to be addressed. This is something that I'm learning myself, is learning to kind of find a deeper peace that isn't affected by the turbulence of the ripples on top of the water. This is why INFJs are drawn to spiritual practices, spirituality, religion, or, meditation, things like that, because it's a way of finding that peace that isn't shaken. Even though we're absorbing all this emotion and stuff, we need to develop that core that is unmoved within us, or maybe not develop it, find it, because it's there, I believe, already. And that's why I'm in my life. I'm trying to develop myself spiritually so that I am not so easily upset and disturbed, and not tossed about on the, turbulent waves of life. As INFJs, we take things so much more deeply, and things can make us swing back and forth so much emotionally that we need to find that peace within us, or we're going to lose our minds. So that's why INFJs can be cold to people, and that's what we can do about it, I think. Well, I thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, click that like button. If you didn't like it, get out of here. I don't want to talk to you. And if you want to see more videos, subscribe. Okay, now to close it out, I just wanted to do a quick little segment that is a bit different. I just want to share a few books that I'm reading right now that I think are helping me go down the spiritual path, and, check them out. All right, so first, this is one that I finished a couple weeks ago. This is The Wisdom of Insecurity by Alan Watts. There's a ton of Alan Watts stuff on YouTube. A lot of his lectures. I highly recommend checking those out. Basically, what this book is about is how we spend too much time in our minds thinking, and that we miss out on the pleasure of life because we're too worried about living life. We take it too seriously, and that it is only in acknowledging what we do not and cannot know that we can find something truly worth knowing. All right. Next up, I'm reading Falling into Grace by Adyashanti. He's got a lot of videos on YouTube also. He's definitely more spiritual than Alan Watts. Alan Watts is kind of like, he's like a step removed from the spirituality he's teaching. He's not like a devotee. He's just kind of explaining things. Adyashanti is more about awakening, enlightenment, all that kind of stuff. This book is very similar to The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, but is a bit more in-depth, I think, and written in a more conversational way. I recommend this. I enjoy it. I'm not that far into it, but it's good. Also, I got this book and the next one I'm going to talk about from thriftbooks.com, and it's very cheap, but it's kind of interesting because it's like an old library book, and this is from the Denver Library. Who knew? Isn't that interesting? I'm reading this book that was in the Denver Public Library. I think it's interesting. And then lastly, Meister Eckhart, the celebrated 14th century mystic and scholar. This is, Eckhart Tolle took his name from Meister Eckhart. This is like, a more spiritual, kind of a spiritual mystical book, and you can see that these are just short things you can read in there. But it's from a Christian perspective. But a lot of it is really profound. Let me just read one line that I thought was really like, whoa. Know that no man in this life ever gave up so much that he could not find something else to let go. Like, dang, son. Anyway, those are the books I'm reading. Check them out, and I hope that can be a segment I bring back every once in a while to tell you what I'm reading. I read very slowly because I don't read much at a time, so it'll probably be like 3 years before I do another one. All right, well, anyway, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.